Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, tony@tonyvalen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's show is Joseph Emet. Joseph is an author of several books. He's a teacher, trained Zen master, and coach. You can learn more about Joseph Emet by going to Mindfulness Meditation Centre.org. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show. The first question I always start out with, and I'm going to ask you, is what are your gifts and how did your journey begin?
Well, gifts. Every day is a gift. Being alive, to appreciate this beautiful world is the gift. My journey started, I think, when I was born.
Okay.
But more specifically, when I started exploring the Buddhist path to meditation, and then I had a long retreat with Roshi Robert Aitken in Hawaii. And then I met Thich Nhat Hanh here in Montreal and went to visit him in Plum Village and spent some time with him, and then kept returning there for retreats every year. And that is the start and the journey itself.
Wonderful. Now, in 1997, you founded the Mindfulness Meditation Centre in Quebec. Tell us about the center and tell us about your vision for the center.
Well, visions keep changing. At the beginning, I was envisioning a place where different things would happen and different people could find what they wanted. I started with having open meditation sessions, and recently I added focused meditation sessions, like for stress reduction, for better sleep. I also have a course at one of the big hospitals here for cancer patients. And I also offer one-to-one coaching, meditation coaching, which many people prefer to group sessions for their own reasons, sometimes for scheduling reasons, sometimes because they want to really focus on their own issues rather than, have a general course of some kind.
Yes, I do understand that. Now, you said you use it for cancer patients. How does that benefit a cancer patient?
Well, that's when your life really changes. It's sort of all of a sudden plunges you in insecurity. It's a kind of loss. You can have a loss of your partner, loss of a job, but in this case, it's loss of health, really. And the biggest issue, I think, is dealing with actual physical discomfort and pain, as opposed to mental discomfort and mental pain, anguish. Like, physical discomfort is one thing, and the stories we create around it, like, oh, why did it happen to me? How will it ever go away? Will I die from it? And so on. This is the anguish that we create ourselves, and it's added to the physical anguish. And, mindfulness meditation cannot have that much of an impact on the physical issues. For that, you go and see a doctor and get painkillers or whatever. But it really alleviates the mental anguish, because that's the one we create.
Yeah, most definitely. And as far as I've always heard about cancer patients, that how you beat this illness or disease is all a matter of mind and a matter of attitude. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that optimism helps with everything. Definitely. Uh, Stress has been found to be a contributing cause of many illnesses, including cancer, MS, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you stop contributing to it, then you're much better off. In that sense, it helps as well.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little more about meditation. What exactly should we do when we sit in meditation?
Well, in this tradition, you start by getting back in touch with your breath. This seems like a trivial thing because we breathe all the time. It's not an earth-shaking activity so far as most of us are concerned, but we're not aware of it. We breathe without awareness. That's one issue. The other issue is that it's the body that breathes. A lot of us are in our heads, in our thoughts. By getting in touch with the breath, we also get in touch with the body. Mm-hmm. So when the mind is focused on the body and mind sort of become one, rather than the mind going its own way and the body doing its own thing,
Yeah.
So that's the first step usually. And another step is listening. I like to say that thinking is the mind talking, whereas meditation is the mind listening. Mm. And so the mind is talking, and you can say, "Shh, I'm listening now." And that gives you a chance to hear what's coming. My Zen teacher, Roshi Aitken, used to say, meditation is becoming more intimate with yourself. So I think listening is definitely a step towards more intimacy.
Yeah, absolutely. What if we have a very active mind? What do we do with those thoughts that course through our minds as we're trying to settle down?
You have hit on a question that I get all the time from people who come to groups, and a lot of people think that they are the only one in the world with such an active mind. But it's everybody's issue for sure. I think calming the mind, quieting the mind, that's the first step in this tradition of meditation. And the second, it's called Vipassana, the tradition. And the second step is listening deeply, or insight meditation. But everybody knows that word, Vipassana or insight meditation. But few people, perhaps not everybody, knows that it goes hand in hand with calming the mind. And exactly the question you raised. Well, you cannot stop thinking. The mind keeps going. So sometimes I like to put it this way. Give the dog a bone so it doesn't chew on the furniture. So the mind is going to do something, go until we die. It's going to continue to think. But you can focus its efforts on the breath, on the body, on awareness of what's happening, on listening. So you change its focus a little bit. And that's one way.
Yes. And how would someone motivate themselves to meditate? Because, of course, one thing is to say, I'm going to meditate, and it seems like I'll start tomorrow. Well, how do you finally jump in and say, I am going to start meditating now?
You know that you have described procrastination.
Yes, exactly.
Because procrastination is all about getting started. I once saw a T-shirt that said, "Just do it." And underneath in smaller letters, it said, "Later."
Yeah, that's procrastination.
And unfortunately, a lot of the T-shirts that I love to have her on somebody else's back, and this one was as well.
Mm.
I think one way is just do it is right. Just do it. There's no, what else can I say? Just do it. You don't need a Zendo in order to meditate. You don't need a special place. You don't even need special equipment, a special cushion. It helps to have a firm cushion, but you can fold some blankets or even sit on a chair. So this is what I'd like to stress, that sometimes everything has to happen right. The stars have to come together or whatever. Just sit, just do it. And the other thing is you can ease yourself into it by reading a page, maybe a few paragraphs from an inspiring book. Thich Nhat Hanh, my teacher, his books are very inspiring. Mm. Just read a page and it will sort of bring you to the edge of meditation. Like normally your mind is going like, I have to do this, that, the other, fix the computer, order this, whatever, you know what I mean, you know what's on the mind. And if you sit with that mind, those same thoughts are going to continue running in your mind, and it's not going to be meditation. But if you read a page of an inspiring book like Thich Nhat Hanh's books, one of Thich Nhat Hanh's books, or even one of my books, it'll bring you to the edge of meditation, and then you get back in touch with your breath, in touch with the sensations, and you start listening, and you're on your way.
Absolutely. Now, do you incorporate any other modalities with meditation? For instance, how do you feel about yoga?
I personally do a lot of Tai Chi.
Tai Chi?
Yes. And I do Tai Chi on the outdoors. And it really helps me appreciate the beauty of nature around me. And I look forward, I've been doing that for 30 years, and I look forward to my Tai Chi time. Yoga, a lot of people do it with yoga. There are some yoga teachers whose practice is sort of in that direction. There are even people who talk about running as a kind of meditation. Mm-hmm. I think if you're running and thinking of other things like, when is this going to be over?
Right.
Or whatever, it's not going to be meditation. Yeah. But if you run while you're totally focused on what's happening in your body, one with your body, and your mind is running as well as your body, then it's just like Tai Chi and yoga. And it can be, congruent with meditation.
Absolutely. And for us that don't know what Tai Chi is, can you explain what Tai Chi is?
That's a challenge. Tai Chi comes from the Chinese Taoist meditation. It's a series of movements. But the trick is not so much the movements themselves, but how you do them to keep your balance. The Taoists talk about yin and yang, which means the weak and the strong, the passive and the active, night and day, man and woman, depending on the context. And in this context, it's a play between relaxation and action. Like every step you take, you do something, like you make an effort to make the step. Mm-hmm. But then there must be some kind of relaxation. Otherwise, the stress is going to mount as with each step until you become stressed out. And actually, this is a very good metaphor for how the day builds up. During the day, you're driving, traffic, then you work, then children, whatever. And each time, life throws a curveball at you, and unless you relax after each blow, so to speak,
Yeah.
then it builds up and you begin to feel uncomfortable.
Therefore causing stress, yeah, and I believe that's what stress would be. So explain to us what mindfulness is. What do you mean by mindfulness?
Well, some of the standard definitions are paying attention intentionally. Intentionally meaning that as opposed to rumination, which happens automatically, there's a lot of automatic thinking. When there's a loss of some kind, it runs through your mind. When you're mad at somebody, it runs through your mind. When you have a problem. So these are examples of automatic thinking, of rumination, whatever. Whereas mindfulness is intentional thinking. Another thing is that psychologists have noted that our minds have a negativity bias. We tend to think of, the fly in the ointment, what's wrong instead of what's right. And paying attention intentionally, we look at what's right, what's beautiful, instead of whatever comes to mind, which can be on the negative side, like the evening news is full of negative news. It's not that nothing beautiful ever happens in this world, but they're catering to people with negativity bias, and they know that, bad news is good news. So paying attention intentionally to the good and the beautiful, to the positive instead of the negative. I mentioned being in touch with your breath, being in touch with the sensations from the body. One of the things you do in meditation is listen to the body, but the body speaks in sensations. It doesn't speak in words. Mm-hmm. If you hear words, they're coming from the brain. My body, my legs, my buttocks do not speak English. They speak in sensations. So we tune in to the raw sensations, even sounds, instead of, oh, this is an airplane, oh, this is a car, this is someone's radio. You listen with wonder, with some, like a 6-year-old child listens, a child who doesn't know any words, without necessarily rushing in to identify, to justify, to evaluate, to make, judgments, whatever. So that's another thing about meditation. It's, the word machine on our shoulders. You sort of look beyond it. You look past it. You look past the words, because words are boxes that put, sensations into things into. So long as you are hooked up to the word machine, you're going from one box to another. And and of course, this is all tied up with creativity. Creativity itself is getting out of the box. And it's related to this ability that you can develop through mindfulness of getting out of the box, getting out of the word-based thinking, of thinking with your heart, if you like, thinking, embodied thinking.
Yes. You are a trained Zen master. You trained with Thich Nhat Hanh, is that correct?
Yes, that's perfect.
Tell us about what was involved in that training.
Well, I appreciate you calling me a master, but I'm not going to call myself a master.
Okay.
I think that, even Dalai Lama refuses that title. And leaving that aside for a moment, the training is, with Thich Nhat Hanh is very special. He was once asked, how do you become a Dharma teacher? Like, do you have to memorize certain texts? what do you have to read something? What accomplishments do you have to have? And his answer was, you have to be happy, which is sort of amazing. It really amazed me when I heard that. And but when you think of it, it's so true. Imagine somebody who's a Zen master, so to speak, and he's desperately unhappy.
Yeah.
How impressed would you be with that? And also such words that we associate with meditation and Zen, like enlightenment, awakening. Give me happiness anytime. But enlightened happiness, which means that a person is not only happy, but he appreciates his happiness and he values it and he knows why and how he's happy, and so that he can actually spread happiness knowingly around him. And, there are people who, psychologists call them conflict-prone people. They create conflict wherever they go. I hope with all my heart that you've never met one of those people, but I'm sure you have.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You can meet them on the road while you're driving. You can meet them at work. You can meet them at government offices, wherever. And so I think that mindfulness, the kind of happiness that Thich Nhat Hanh is talking about, is the opposite of that. It's sort of a person who creates peace wherever he goes. And I think that's a wonderful approach to awakening.
Absolutely, because they're actually living their lives the way they want to show people how to live. Is that correct?
Yes. That the best way to teach is by modeling rather than by preaching. And we also know about a phenomenon called mood contagion. Mm-hmm. Like, if someone is very angry and yelling at you, after a while you begin to feel angry yourself.
Yeah.
But mood contagion can work the other way. Like, there are examples of people yelling at the Buddha, being mad at him. And instead of he picking up on their anger, he manages to spread his contagion of peace in the other direction, and sort of put people at ease. Putting people at ease, that's the in a capsule. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess that's what you would call a Zen master, someone that can take all the abuse and absorb it and still be able to turn people around and make them happy or calm them down, so to speak.
Yes, that would be a very good indication of someone who has a good practice.
I know that you have a doctorate in music from Boston University, so you like to incorporate songs with meditation. Explain how and why you do that and what the benefit is.
Well, I got into that when I was in Plum Village, where Thich Nhat Hanh lives. Music is very much a part of the practice there. You wake up with some chants that you hear. Then there is some singing before Thich Nhat Hanh's morning talk. There is singing before the walking meditation period. There's singing before meals. There's singing before the discussion, everywhere. And I felt very much at home in that atmosphere. I got into that when I was trying to teach meditation to someone who was severely depressed, and he could not concentrate. Trying to meditate when you can't concentrate is pretty near very difficult challenge, because concentration and meditation go hand in hand. In fact, in the Thai language, the word for concentration means meditation.
Okay.
But I knew that this this person was musical. So I started working with him with some of the songs I learned in Plum Village, practice songs. It went very well. Then we were meeting every day, every week. So I would sort of come up with new songs. But songs in this respect mean I later started calling them mantras because they're short phrases set to a musical tune. And you know how music is, it sort of becomes an earworm, you know?
Yeah.
Sticks to your ear like a two-sided Scotch tape that you can't get off your fingers.
Interesting.
And so it mimics concentration without any effort on your part. And this is one aspect of music that I use all the time with everybody. People come for meditation coaching, never suspecting that they're gonna leave the place starting singing with a song on their lips. But this is what usually happens.
You know, I think that's one thing that a lot of businesses or companies do. They always have a little jingle because you know that if you associate, like you said, a short phrase with music, it'll stick to your mind and you'll hear it over and over. So I think that's very smart to use that as a mantra and with music.
Yes. One little difference, though, I'd like to underline. If you Google meditation music and whatever, you're likely to find like new age music, you know, things like bird calls or water sounds or, you know, soft music. That is not exactly what I mean. I mean songs, actual songs with words. The idea is that the melody penetrates your mind and it sort of takes the words by the hand. And the words penetrate your mind on the wings of music. So it's sort of like opens a window into your heart and gets the words. And the words are usually about the basics of meditation, like breathing, concentrating on your breath, the beauty of this world, positive thinking, things like that. And so what I mean by music is actually songs, not instrumental music, you know?
I understand. With meditation, what are the benefits to the body, mind, and spirit?
Well, the number one, I think, is relaxation. A lot of people identify meditation with relaxation. However, meditation is more than relaxation. It's also a certain level of vigilance and mindfulness, like paying attention. Paying attention is more than relaxation. But relaxation is on everybody's mind, as you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And the next thing I would say is stress reduction. I think those two are very basic. You know, Jon Kabat-Zinn put stress reduction on the map with his 1979 book. He's a pioneer. Thich Nhat Hanh's book, first book in English, The Miracle of Mindfulness, was published in 1975. And Jon Kabat-Zinn's book, Full Catastrophe Living, 1979. So very close. Then I wrote my book about sleeping better with mindfulness, which, as you know, won an award and did very well. And it just occurred to me one day that Buddha was not peaceful only when he was awake. He was peaceful also when he lay down to sleep. Yeah. All those things that you associate with meditation, and you mentioned the overactive mind and so on. Buddha had a peaceful mind, but also when he lay down to sleep. And it just dawned on me that this is such a valuable tool, mindfulness meditation and a quiet mind for sleeping better. And that's how the book was born. And the next thing for me personally is creativity. I mentioned right at the beginning about getting out of the box.
Yeah.
And also something happens as you quiet the overthinking mind. Like the thoughts we have in our mind are usually about mundane things, like about this is happening, that's happening, my computer broke down, I have a Skype call with this person,
right. Yes.
and so on and so forth. But you want inspiration, you want insight, you have to quiet those surface thoughts first. Otherwise, they drown out the little voice that comes from inside. And so for me, one of the precious things about meditation is this ability to be able to value and to listen to something other than these everyday thoughts. Julia Cameron focuses on that. She has this beautiful book called Finding Water. Visualize the roots of a tree reaching down and finding water. And the idea is that the inspiration, insight, and all those things are somehow deeper than the surface. Another thing that I really value meditation for is the fact that our brains were developed through millions of years of evolution. Mm-hmm. And evolution is about survival. It's about competition. It's about the survival of the fittest, about being the alpha male if you're a male. It's about aggressivity. And the brain still has those attributes. Just look around, read the newspapers.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Look at all the wars, the bullying, this conjugal abuse, murders, Islamic State, whatever. And that is our legacy through millions of years. That's how we evolved. We're not only at the top of the intelligence pyramid, but we're also at the top of the aggressivity pyramid, whatever. With mindfulness, you become aware of this, but you are not a prisoner of it. You can hear the voice of the brain that pushes you in a certain direction. I mean, there's a lot of hockey here, and often, somebody leaves one of the players leaves on a stretcher, and a lot of the time the injuries are inflicted knowingly, road rage, whatever. But with mindfulness, you hear that voice and you don't act it out because it doesn't make you happy. So it's this ability to go from survival toward happiness. There are two different roads. Survival and happiness are two different roads.
Yeah.
You strive, you fight for survival. To be happiness, you have to learn how to coexist.
Absolutely. So you become aware of everything. You're a lot more aware of the different stuff. This is Tony Valen, Healing from Within. You can contact me, Tony@TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, Joseph Emet. Joseph is an author of several books, and even though he doesn't agree, he is a trained Zen master. He's a teacher and a coach. You can learn more about Joseph by going to mindfulnessmeditationcentre.org. Now, Joseph, you've written many books. Let's start with Buddha's Book of Meditation, Mindfulness Practices for the Quieter Mind and Self-Awareness and Healthy Living. Tell us about a little brief explanation of what you accomplished with those books, or what you hope to accomplish with those books.
Mindfulness Meditation Centre. The center is spelled the Canadian way. They'll probably find it anyway. Google is kind to to us in a lot of ways.
That's true.
But the book of meditation has practices as part of the book. There are 12 songs that are part of the book as practices. And those songs are available on the website. Click on books and then Buddha's Book of Meditation. And they're available for free download. Of course, with the book, you get more context and you get hints on how to use the songs. But the songs themselves are there for you to go to listen to. What I wanted to do was, in this tradition, it is said that there are 84,000 ways of getting into this mindfulness practice. 84,000 means very many. It was like an exaggerated, like when you say, a million ways of doing this, whatever, you don't actually mean a million. Right. And with each chapter, I outlined a different way of approaching meditation practice. I recently recommend the songs as an opportunity for taking a meditation break. Just like you take a coffee break, pick a song that speaks to you, put it on your phone, and when you take a break, like a lunch break, take 5 minutes, sit outside, and listen to a song. You'll be surprised. In less than 5 minutes, that song will put you in a relaxed frame of mind. It'll reconnect you with your inspiration. It'll reconnect you if you had a practice. If you meditated in the morning, it'll reconnect you with that space of meditation. And then you could start your afternoon on a new footing. This is one way to use the book, to use those songs to take a meditation break. And you can do it once a day, twice a day when you're going for a coffee break, or you can do it while you walk outside with listening to the song, better still humming or singing along with the song. I myself sing every day, and it's part of my practice, and I've found it very valuable.
Wow, yes. Explain brainful and mindful. What's the difference?
In the book, I make an analogy between this matter and sexuality. Like, of course, mindfulness are based on a certain organ, the brain, just like sexuality is based on our sex organs at the bottom. But we approach sexuality differently, different people. I mean, you can be a prostitute, you can be a nun, you can be a faithful husband or wife, you can be an unfaithful husband or wife. Mm-hmm. They're all based on the same organ, sexuality, but sex organ. But that's what sexuality means to me, the way you use that organ. And also, mindfulness has something to do with the way you use that organ, whether that organ is using you or whether you are using the organ, in this case, the brain. Using the brain to find happiness, to find an enlightened way of living, to go toward your values, to work toward a better world, to work toward better relationships. This is mindful approach. Whereas listening to the brain that says, argue with her, or go faster than him, or buy a bigger car, or whatever, this is brainfulness for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For someone that's meditating, I know that one of the things, I meditate now, and I feel like I finally found a way. It took me 3 years to finally find a way to meditate. But one of my biggest problems I always had, and I know this is going to be a question for a lot of people about meditation, they get sleepy when they meditate. Do you recommend something that we can do so that we can stop the sleepiness from happening?
Well, the Buddha mentioned 5 impediments to meditation. This is one of them. So he knew about that 26 centuries ago. Another impediment that Buddha mentions to meditation is restlessness. And this I also get in every group. I find somebody who gets sleepy when they meditate, and I find somebody who gets restless, fidgety. They can't sit still. It's really amazing, because when somebody says I get sleepy, I ask in the group, is there someone who feels restless? And somebody raises their hand. And so these two people look at each other like, are we on the same planet? I think the idea is that, I mentioned this before, that meditation is not only about relaxation, but there's a certain vigilance. The vigilance is listening to the mind. That takes attention to listen, to be in touch with your breath, to be in touch with your feelings, to observe yourself feeling, and also to go toward positivity. One of the guided meditations I do, I urge people, for example, to think of 1 or 2 occasions or things or images that fill them with love. Maybe their child, maybe their partner, maybe something. And then drop the image or the thought, but stay with the feeling. The image or the thought of your loved one brought love to your heart. Now you are full of love. You can let go of the image and stay with the feeling. You can do that with hope. You can do that with gratitude. You can do that. Find something that brings contentment to you and fill your heart with contentment, and then let go of the particular occasion. This is one way of approaching positivity meditation. So what I do in meditation, when I teach meditation, is I use guided meditations, which means that there's a short instruction, maybe 1 sentence or so, about every minute, sometimes 2 minutes, depending on how advanced the group is. So I don't leave them completely alone, I give them something to focus on, like I just mentioned, like positivity, this, that, and the other. So I know that it's a challenge, and by focusing your mind on different aspects of the meditation practice, I think you have a better chance of staying awake. But it's also said that if you really feel fading out, get up, take a few steps, wash your face. And also what the Zen tradition emphasizes very strongly is a very erect, very proper posture. You know that the brain scans the body. Mm-hmm. And when the brain scans the body, and if it finds that you're lying down with your eyes closed, the brain decides, oh, we're getting ready for sleep. And it creates the right, chemicals, endorphins, whatever, to help you along, But if you're sitting up absolutely erect, when the brain scans the body, it says, we are not completely relaxed on the floor. We are vigilant. So it gives you the right chemicals, serotonin or whatever, to keep you awake. So posture is a big part of it as well.
Perfect. And are there any further recommendations you can give someone that's just getting started?
I had to go to retreats. I think the beginning, for many people, takes a special effort. Like if you're planting a tree, it's hard work. You have to dig a hole and lug the tree and put it in there. And afterwards, leaves come out year after year. You just enjoy it. But the beginning, for me it was. For many other people I know, I don't know if it's for everybody, but for many people, it takes a bit of effort going to a few retreats. And if you're going to a retreat, make sure you choose one where there is coaching or private interviews available. When I studied with Robert Aitken in Hawaii, we were sitting for 10, 11 hours a day, but I saw him 4 times a day for questions. It was extremely helpful. So you're not stewing in your own juice. Like if there's something bothering you, a question in your mind, you get a chance to talk about it. And in a lot of Vipassana retreats, you get the same thing. It's not the best thing to do to get started all on yourself, or even with the help of a book. I sometimes compare that to doing brain surgery with a book.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Except that in this case, you're not only the surgeon, you're also the patient. If you're interested in meditation, I would say to somebody who's asking that question, take the time to start with some coaching with someone who's been there and who can guide you. Afterwards, you can continue with inspiration from books and the website and songs and so on. But the beginning is an important time.
Could you please explain something that I know that I was reading through your material and you mentioned enjoy the breath? What exactly are you saying when you say enjoy the breath?
It's interesting. A lot of the time we breathe unconsciously. In order to enjoy something, first you must know that you're doing it or you have it. There's a wonderful Buddhist story about a rich man who has a friend who's fallen on hard times, and he doesn't want to give him money outright. He sews a precious gem in the hem of his coat without telling him. And this man gets poorer and poorer. He becomes a beggar while he's walking around with this $10,000 diamond in the hem of his coat. And he doesn't enjoy it. And he doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't value it because he doesn't know about it. And this is true with life also. In order to enjoy life, we must first of all be aware that we're alive. Being aware of your breath is in some ways synonymous with being aware that you're alive. Being aware of all the physical sensations of life, of being alive. Your breath, all the sensations from your skin, from your posture, if you're outdoors, the breeze sort of tickling your skin, the sunshine above, if you're outside, the smells of nature, and so on. All of that is sort of like awareness of this miracle of life. And so enjoying your breath, you're right. It's like shorthand for all of those things. And basically that's all it means to me.
Now, I know you touched on this already. Give us the 5 tips for meditation.
Tips for meditation, tips for meditating. I had a workshop with advanced meditators once, and I found that some of them meditated right in bed. Like when they woke up, they sat up in bed and meditated. Just tuck the pillow under your buttocks, sit up, and do it. Another way you could go about this is like many people use do you wake up with an alarm clock?
Do I? It's funny, but I don't anymore. I automatically wake up at 5:30 or 6 a.m. every morning, and it's automatic. But I used to.
Well, my partner's like that. She wakes up at the time she chooses, but many people wake up. Yeah, you guys are lucky. I'm not. I don't. I wake up. If I need to wake up at a certain time, I use the alarm clock. But there's a snooze button on the alarm clock. Turn that snooze button into a meditate button. When you push it, it works like a timer. Sit up and meditate for 10 minutes. Otherwise, when you're lying and snoozing, a lot of the time you're ruminating. In other words, thoughts are sort of coursing through your mind. Many of those thoughts are uninvited. But with meditation, you get a chance to to get in touch with your breath, with contentment, with positive thoughts, and start the day on the right foot. So this is one little hint I could suggest. Taking meditation breaks with a song, with one of the songs on my website, mindfulnessmeditationcentre.org. And procrastination has been linked to lack of self-regulation, the ability to get started doing something. It's a general sort of malaise. I think people can procrastinate about paying bills or doing what needs to be done. I think one way is to put it on your memo pad on your iPhone, on your phone, whatever phone you have. Mm-hmm. Because some of the procrastination, including meditation procrastination, is simply due to forgetfulness. The day can go by and it runs away from you. You don't know where it went.
Yeah.
So if you put it on your memo pad or whatever, that helps. Another thing that Thich Nhat Hanh recommends, and I do as well, is putting signs around, say, where you work, in the bathroom, where you eat, in the dining room, kitchen, like breathe, for example. Breathe is just like you mentioned, enjoy your breath. It's a shorthand for get in touch with your breath and so on. Smile is another one that's very common in Plum Village. So reminders of practice like that. And there's a bunch of them on in one of my books, a page of possible reminders, or you can find them on the website. Just Google Thich Nhat Hanh calligraphy. And if you're challenged by spelling Thich Nhat Hanh's name, just use the last word in his name, Hanh, H-A-N-H, H-A-N-H. Just Google Hanh calligraphy, and you will find a world of. He has a beautiful hand, and he uses calligraphy as a daily practice. He writes a little. All his calligraphy is related to mindfulness. One which I appreciate very much is be beautiful, be yourself.
Yeah.
You will find many, many beautiful sayings like that, and some of them you can download and print and put up, or you can write it in your own hand, so you personalize them. So this is another way of. These are all sort of anti-procrastination devices.
Right. Yeah, no, I love all the suggestions, especially the one about using the snooze button and thinking of it as a meditation button. That's wonderful. So what's next for you, Mr. Emet?
I am working on a book on happiness. Like all these books, the titles are not set until the book comes out. Might be Buddha's Book of Happiness, and the subtitle, which I adore, will be, and I will insist that it'll be there, it'll be Mindfulness Practices for Finding the Blue Sky. Happiness and positivity is a big part of meditation, just like psychology itself is now very much interested in positive psychology. Buddhist practice has all along been interested in happiness. You know, the Dalai Lama has a book, The Art of Happiness, which became a bestseller. And he wrote another one called The Art of Happiness at Work. And happiness is what Buddhist practice works towards. It's the aim of Buddhist practice. It was a natural evolution for me. And I'm very excited to be working on that book.
We would love to have you back on the show once that book is done so we can talk all about it.
Yeah, it'll be a happy occasion.
We'd love to have you back. Well, I definitely want to thank you for being on the show this time around. Thank you so much for the wonderful tips on meditation and all the information.
I'd be very delighted if this talk was helpful to a few people who are interested in meditation. And I must thank you for choosing that topic, not for my personal benefit, but for the benefit of all your listeners.
Well, thank you. Our thanks to Joseph Emet. Joseph is an author of several books. He's a trained Zen master. He's a teacher and a coach. You can learn more about Joseph Emet by going to Mindfulness Meditation Centre. That's C as in cat, ENTRE.org. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen here on Blog Talk Radio, airing Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net, or contact me directly, tony@tonyvalen.com. Please follow the show on Twitter, @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen, or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Thank you so much, and love and light from all of us here at Healing from Within.